what you put out is what you get back. 100% agree. If you put in the effort in being a cyclist, you will be able to go faster up the hill. If you put in the effort to like grow your business and be honest and take care of your guests and your people and whoever, I think you'll get that in return. You know, there will be stuff that will happen. There will people that won't like you. You will get a flat tire. People will crash. You know, shit will happen. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Like if the longer goal, like I want to be here. So that's what I look at.
Welcome back to Stepwise, a series of juicy conversations with inspired leaders about their insights, approaches, and journeys. My life and practice have been devoted to the idea that leadership matters, to performance and to people. And I believe that a core tenet of successful leading relates to wisdom, our best thinking, knowledge, and insights, which I believe can be understood and accelerated, including through exposure to great leaders like today's guest, Andy Levine. Andy is the founder and CEO of DuVine Travel, consistently rated #1 or #2 best adventure travel companies in the world. I wanted to interview Andy the second I saw him in action in Costa Brava, Spain, where my wife Kathy and I were on a bike trip with dear friends with his company when an unfortunate accident caused him to want to fly from his offices in Boston to join our group. Through firsthand experience, I could see the quality his company provides high-end clientele, and that training and spirit begins with Andy's leadership. He sees everything, and he anticipates everything as he runs a global company from thousands of miles away. I wanted to learn his secrets. As you'll hear, he's just a guy who wanted to ride his bike in France and turned that passion into a world-leading company. Friends, meet Andy Levine. Andy is the founder and CEO of DuVine Travel and Adventures, a global luxury brand bike tour company whose mission is for every person to travel. I'm going to get this wrong.
It's DuVine Cycling and Adventure Company. I believe, as you were going to say, that everyone should travel the world by bike, and I hope you can attest to that.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
There, as you can see behind me is Mallorca, Spain, which will be your next trip. But
beautiful.
Like, there's just nothing like riding your bike and seeing the world and connecting with people and being healthy. You know, doing fitness and connecting with people and it's a great way to discover a place. So that's DuVine Cycling.
It is the slow approach to the world, and there's nothing like it. There's literally nothing like it.
Well,
fantastic.
I still love it every day. It's a lot of work, but I think you know, to have guests like yourself, you and your wife, and the friends you went with, to see you people happy, being able to relax and just enjoy yourself and get into a culture and stay in a nice hotel and eat good food and be safe and ride. It's like it's a big pleasure. It's a real joy.
For those also that don't know, DuVine was voted one of the top 2 tour operators in the world by Travel and Leisure, a very significant
So
award.
last year we were #2 or something. The year before we were #1. Awards are great. All that stuff is fine. To me, it doesn't matter. I want to make sure people like yourself and our guests are having an awesome time. So if our travelers are happy and we read every review, that's how you drive a biz.
Well, and I want to get into that because you do read every review. My wife and I put in an extensive review, very complimentary, but also some thoughts. And boy, the follow-up we had from your people, it was just amazing. It was really exceptional. So, my introduction of you, Andy, is you're a guy that lives by what your feet and your words match. Your feet and your words match. You live and lead the same way, very aligned to a high-quality brand, great customer experience, etc.
Thank you. I mean, I got nothing to hide and everything to gain, and I think people appreciate honesty and someone who's going to be there for them, you know, as a customer and a traveler, and feedback is super important. I mean, DuVine would not be where it is today without, you know, customers like and guests like yourself who had a great time and tell us what they loved, which we can improve on, things they need, and then what can we improve on. All of our travelers are so unique and different and come from different backgrounds. And so we learn some really good stuff. And it helps.
So Andy, you're running a global organization. Let's start by talking about what you've created in DuVine and how you maintain quality in that brand for very discerning customers? How do you do what you do?
I started out on my own, yes, but DuVine is what it is today because I have a great team of people. I think you can't do anything uh, like running a business without a great team. I so that comes from having a really cool culture. Our culture is around going above and beyond, taking care of our guests, never saying no, always being yes. How can we be different? Being real, speaking with the heart, like not lying, admitting when you're wrong, and just showing up every day. I have a pretty high bar. I like a high bar. I'm actually a DuVine client. I mean, I went on your trip, for that day, and I paid, and I was there to see and look at the guides and connect, and like I have a high standard, and we try to um, keep that high standard, but also it helps for all the years we've been running the company. I mean, consistently doing it and improving, and we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot to say no in some cases where we know, like your Costa Brava trip. That trip didn't just happen in one season. We've been consistently working on that and putting the effort in, putting the money in, and getting it right. And so, in hiring, the right guides and in training people who are from there and whatnot. So it's always evolving. And yes, I was maybe the crazy one who had the idea to go ride my bike because I just thought that was a good way to pass time and maybe earn a few dollars so I could, eat and sleep at night. But there wasn't a master game plan here. I went to business school and drew up a game plan. There was the plan for me always and has been in life is to connect with people and have a good life and do, and really, stand by my word and go above and beyond. So then I was fortunate enough to keep on with DuVine, and I didn't need money, meaning I didn't care living in a 1-star hotel. I didn't care about having, like, I was okay, like just eating a sandwich and being poor. That the thing was like, I want to ride my bike in France. And that's what DuVine was. And so I'm enough of an entrepreneur and a guy who likes to, succeed and grow that we moved on. We went over to Provence and Bordeaux and we grew the company, but that was not the game plan. And lucky, I think the I'm good at a few things. I'm not good at a bunch, but I know what I'm good at. And I think I can see talent in people who care. Like we hire people and work. I like to work with people who care, who actually want to help grow the company, are not selfish, and who want to be a part of something. And so, like when you give people, I give them a lot of leeway. I don't think so. I don't think I'm on people. I don't like being on people. Like, so we are like a little bit of a free flowing atmosphere, but you need to be structured, and we have good people who keep the structure. And so we have a lot of good people. But I think, I guess you could say, I really love to ride my bike and see the world. And like days, like I'll never forget that day I rode with you. Like legitimately, I remember that beautiful blue sky day riding on that road to Tosa. Like that's one of the greatest roads on this planet. And like when you're riding with people and you're looking, and then you go down and you have that coffee, we were hanging out, no one's sitting on their phone, and we're creating a conversation. Like that's pretty good life. And then you go back and you have a lunch at that hotel by the pool, and there's grilled fish and grilled shrimp. Like for me, I don't know how life gets better.
That's pretty cool.
And when people are happy and they're connecting and they're just like, they're enjoying themselves, like to me, it's an honor. So.
Yeah, I love the simplicity and clarity, and being a founder, being an owner, being a cyclist, being an entrepreneur is one thing. But how did you develop as a leader? You're making it sound like I love to ride my bike, but you've got a culture that's dialed, and that everybody looks at everything like you do.
Well, I've never tried to be anyone else. Like, when you maybe first start out or do things, you might try to be someone who you aren't, and maybe I'm not like a guy who wears a suit and a tie and da 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 da. Like, I thought if I was always real with my staff and just like tell them I'm just ready to carry bags like you or fix a bike and whatever, I think people appreciate that. Like, I'm just working just as hard. What people appreciate, though, and this is where I think it's good, is that we've had a good system for our team. There are good managers. There are good systems in place where an employee can grow with the company. And the bottom line is people can make money and have a nice life. So they see that there's someone out there that's not going to let them down and have their back. I think that's a huge thing. I mean, yes, you could say I'm a cyclist, but I know how I want to be treated. And as a traveler and as an employee, And so, but I always, I think of three things. I think of a lot of things, but I think of number one, our guest. Like we got to take care of them above and beyond. And obviously,
Yeah.
we know how to say no or stuff like that, but we want to be prepared for them and give them just a wow experience. And number two, I want to take care of the staff. Like without, like your tour would have been great, but without guides, it's a problem. So how can we
Yeah.
take care of those people? How can they be successful? How can they feel a part of something? So take care of them. I treat them, I want to treat them as good as guests. And then our vendors, how, it's not magic, when you arrive somewhere and there's like food on the table, like
Yeah.
especially in Spain, they're great, but some people like to take a nap in the siesta. So, and like when we arrived for our last night cocktail, like, there were some details in there that I wasn't loving, but like things have to be there. Wine has
Yeah.
to be on ice, and like there's just there's a lot of preparation, and so there's a lot of order. I'm very much like that. Like I don't like being confused. I don't like being late.
Hmm.
I've never been one who likes being late. So like I have a strict culture of like 15 minutes early, you're on time. You're not early. You're on time. And I tell the guys like, please sit around, talk to your girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever, just be on time. So like that's a huge thing. It's hard with working with a lot of vendors who aren't on time. The tough thing about our business is relying on a lot of other people. That's why I hope someday
Yeah.
we can have our own boat, our own hotels like you have or whatever, and like where you can control more of the product.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So listen, you learn every day, and I think the main point is what I started out in the beginning is you got to be honest with people. You got to be honest.
Well, clearly, Andy, the staff is, majority of the variance there beyond the physical facilities. And how do you screen for them? How do you find the people? How do you find a Platon or a Sunny or anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, so they all come to us. I mean, Sonny was referred by one of our managers, and I was a little concerned to Sonny when I interviewed him. But step back a little bit. I have guide managers, and they go through that whole process. There's an application which you have to pass, and then you have to talk to a guide manager. Then you have to talk to a regional manager, and if they both think this person has some legs, which is can they ride a bike? Do they understand hospitality a lot? Do they have history? What do they have? Do they have culinary? Is there wine? Is there something there? Are they mature? And then they'll come to me, and I just try to get to know them as a person and talk to them real, and I sort of catch them off guard, and I see how they can deal with someone, that's going to just ask them straight away questions, like because again, I'm a DuVine traveler, and like I want people to say I can't handle this. Like I'd prefer to have people, quit or not take the job. But if they're willing to step in the ring with us and be a DuVine guide, like once they make it, then if they make it through me and I say, okay, then there's 2-week training and there's guide manual and then we just, whatever, we got to put them out there.
Andy, you struck just watching you for a few hours was a wonderful exploration in a high standards leader. Not a high pressure leader necessarily, but a high standards leader, meaning your feet on the ground, you saw everything. You saw everything. You saw the interaction between guide and customer. You saw when, I'm making it up, bread was served in the cocktail thing. You saw you experienced the temperature of the wine. You see everything. And so where do you find this balance between absolute attention to detail and high standards? Yeah. And as you talk about, really, as long as it's focused on the customer, letting the guides and letting your people do their thing, you do you. Yeah. Where is that balance?
We have a lot of guests who have everything you need. I mean, they're flying over on their plane and they have their own staff and they've got their own everything. And so like we're competing with that. You don't want people to come on their vacation and it's not as good. But like we train for that. The small details matter. You can anyone can run a bike tour. Okay. It's not rocket science, but can you, the 4 things that we focus on, the bike, the eat, the drink, and the sleep, like can all those dots connect? And we won't do it if it doesn't. But if you're gonna have a cocktail and you're gonna have a meal and you're gonna do these things, please look at these finer details. and it's not easy because we choose to hire local guides. You know, a guy like Platon, who's amazing,
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
you know, grew up in a farm out there in Costa Brava, wasn't used to drinking champagne on ice like all the time. So, and like understand, but they get it, and they're learning, and like it's so cool because these guys have no idea about where some of our guests come from and that lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too because you brought up the kind of the dichotomy here. Platon, one of our guides, grew up in a farm in the Costa Brava region. He'd never experienced hospitality like he is providing hospitality. Like, and you're telling him to go create, and he does, and the team does, but many times they've not experienced that level of service or creativity.
Well, we took, you know, the training's brutal, and we try to make people quit. And this year, you know, we had 100 people, and one left, just said couldn't take it, and I was happy, and I said thank you, like it's not for you. So like, if you can't make training, you're not going to make it. If you make training, if you're willing to make that sacrifice, thank God. I'm like I just laughed. Like I had to let people do their job, and like they just get it. They need their feet under them. Anything in life, it's like riding a bike. Like you need to be fit. You got to get fit, and like you got to want it. And like I just say again, this is not just some summer job. This is a real profession. Being a DuVine bike guide, like you can make real money. And you can have a great career because we're not going anywhere. And we could, you know, do you want to ride your bike and take, you know, these amazing people around? Like it's a real job. And what these guys can make in 6 months is more than what they can make in 12 months.
What are the leadership lessons that you wish the younger Andy would have known that you get today?
Well, I think if I didn't make those mistakes, I wouldn't be where I am, but definitely like patience, like definitely, I think I've mellowed like a wine. I definitely was impatient, you know. So the patience have helped. You know, you make a few bad decisions on hiring people, like, but now it's like it's very hard to trust. Like you really, when you interview, like, how do you know? So I just ask real hard questions, and I don't just fall in love with anyone anymore. You know who you know, because you never know what people tell you. So, but I think been better there and better making decisions, like just not jumping at the first thing and sort of weighing everything out. And honestly, we've just had people that have been with us longer and who are way better than me in a lot of things, you know, in the organization. Again, I'm a creative guy. I'm a personable guy. I'm a details guy, but there's things, you know, with the organization that I didn't have patience for. And also letting people, you know, again, I say that I let people run stuff, especially guides, but even here in the office, you can't micromanage people. You got to let them do their job. And just give them some love.
You know, these days, especially post-pandemic, talking American business really is about kind of remote workforces, right? People working from home. They're, you know, digital nomads. We have people, when we were in Spain, we had people come sit in our house. They don't actually have a house. They just go from house sit to house sit to house sit, and they are digital nomads. So this topic of kind of remote workforce comes up a lot. You lead a remote workforce. What are the secrets? How do you do that well?
Well, we have two parts. I mean, we have the guides, which is a remote, right? I mean, but we have managers and whatnot. And we can't be on every tour, but we have the managers. And so on the guide situation, it's always been like that, I guess, remote. You know, I like being around people. I come into the office every day. So you know, listen, I guess I'm the guy who came, like, if you do your job, like, better, you know, really well, not just doing it, if you're going above and beyond and our customers are happy, then I got to be happy. Like in a business, you got to sort of figure out what's important, right? And what you want to waste your time stressing on. Like, so, you know, you want people to be happy in their job. So we got to give them, like, people got to show up and they got to do their job and ask for help. And hopefully, we can provide training, but, you know, hopefully people show up, and you got to just hire the right people. And we've been fortunate. Like, I love my team. Every single person I'd have a beer with or coffee with, I really like everyone on our team.
You've built in processes for evaluating the tours. You know, as you say, they have to turn in a day 1 report, a day 6 report, and all that stuff. So that kind of helps the communication flow and keep standards up and stuff. How do you do that in a way that, I get back to this remote notion, you've got a whole team working in Boston, I assume.
Right.
And, what are the other management processes that you've got in place that really kind of most help you all of you stay connected?
A good company is like a Broadway show. Like you better, like when the curtain opens, like you got to know where you're going to stand and sing in your song. And so everyone knows what they need to do. So we keep on, being in this peloton moving forward. And everyone knows where they're supposed to be when the curtain opens. So, but we're also running these things in natural, like in weather, like in the world where there's like strikes and lost luggage and like it's terrible. I mean, you're sort of, I think, in the hospitality or the travel. Like I always tell people, you cannot get into this industry unless you really love it. We do not want to be the biggest company. There is another big bug company out there, and I do not want anything of that. I know where I want us to be and how many passengers we need to be, and you need volume in this industry consistently. And if you get that, then you better keep it.
And without that, all the rest of this stuff is theory, right?
But the nice thing is that like this, when you get the momentum in this industry, and you have the reputation, it's hard to stop the ball. It's hard to stop the bike from going downhill because like you've got the momentum, you got the happy guests, you got the word of mouth. I think a lot about, yourself and your friends sitting around the campfire or the bar. Like, what are people talking about? They're either going to talk about two or three things. I loved my trip. I didn't like my trip. Or, so it's like, we want them to say, or they said, you know what, I had some issues, but DuVine followed up and like, they're awesome and I trust them. So like, you don't want people sitting around the campfire going, they sucked and ducked. And that can happen. And there are a lot of crazy people out there too. I mean, we can mess up. And if we do, gosh, we will admit it and we will get right to it. So that very rarely happens. That's a huge reason, you talk about being like, I don't want us screwing up. So like, we better be prepared. And if we look at all the data and if we really did screw up, we'll take care of the customer, of course.
Yeah. So some keys to you and your leadership and the success of DuVine, which has been really remarkable. You got to get the right people. So selection of the right people is vital. It sounds as though, and I think I learned this from you in Spain, a little bit slow to hire and very quick to fire. And it sounds a little rude, but you want to encourage people, if this isn't their jam, to go somewhere else, right?
Right.
So people selection, vital. Training, really critical piece of it. And my guess is, just knowing you for 5 seconds, it's not just the 2 weeks of training where, before that, there's a lot more to training that is critical to the success of DuVine success. Mm. The third is an absolute clarity around the principles on which DuVine stands. Customer first. I loved your notion about cast, kind of a Disney-esque kind of thing. Like, we are out there. We solve problems. We make everything, whatever those principles are. That's what I'm hearing. Like, this is a huge, 3 yards in a cloud of dust business. You got to earn every moment. You got to earn every customer, and you have to earn every review. Yeah. So what am I getting wrong there? What would you fill in?
I guess the only thing, I think, when we go back to some of my mistakes, sometimes we might not be the fastest at firing. Okay. We're not the fastest at hiring. I believe that people need a few chances because we all can make mistakes. But you just find out after a while, where the heart lies. And it's exactly what you say. We just say, it's not like, see you later. Actually, this is not a good fit for you. You're not going to be successful here because this is how we roll. So we find out, please, you got to understand this is who we like. We'll let you do it the next tour because this is who we are. And if you keep on failing on that, you're just not who we are. So you don't fit in. Like, this isn't a successful thing. So people really try hard, and you hate to see someone, firing is hard as an owner and as a manager or whatever it is. But it's hard for that 1 second. And then it's for me, and I keep on telling other people, it's not right for them. And they're going to be better somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's not right. It's definitely not right for us. And they will be okay. Like,
And they
because
will
we
be
care
okay.
about people, right? Like they'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's going to be okay. You know, so that's the thing. And listen, I mean, COVID taught a huge thing. It was terrible for this industry. Like I was
Oh,
out
yeah.
of business for a long time. But what I learned was, going to zero. Like you got to hit rock bottom and to
Mm.
see who you are and what you have. Like, and are you a quitter or are you like, let's, cowboy up right now? It's the time to put
Nice.
it on full gas and go big. And that's, thank God. And that was not just me. That was my wife who helped me and a few of the staff who we could keep around just said, let's, I don't want to swear, like what Tom Brady, LFG, like, let's fucking go. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
And so this
Yeah.
was like, we are going to make this. And it all turned around amazing. I knew that there was a brand, DuVine is a brand, and it would live forever and it will live forever. And I knew that I was ready to go back to, say Costa Brava and lead these tours and fill up water bottles and do whatever, and we'd build it back up. I was ready to do that. And that's what it was almost getting to. But we figured it out. And so, you just stay the principles. We know who we are. And when you get more and more like years in your business, you can be so proud of who you are and that you're not someone else. We're not that other company, or we're not that. We are DuVine. We'll be like an artist and you can take from others. Like Picasso was a great artist, but he took from others. Like he studied other painters and made some great work. You don't just come up with that stuff on your own. So like there's a lot of great people in the industry that we can learn from and see their mistakes or their success or whatever. But we definitely, in heart, who we want to be, DuVine, our principles, you got to recite those. As you said, you as a company every day, you got to, does this fit into who we are? And, going everywhere, Andy, why don't you do Vietnam and Cambodia? This is not what we're doing. It's not who we are. We won't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, could you, create a new tour in Andalusia? That sounds good. Is there the right stuff? Is it what we do? Does it have our hotels, our roads, our food? Can we operate it correctly? Does it work? So, that's it. So it's got to fit into our model. It's got to fit into who we are, and it's cool. But and you got to stay true to who you are, because again, I can't be who I'm not, and DuVine can't be who it isn't. So we're not going to start off. We're not going to be DuVine hiking trips because I don't want to do hiking. Right. I like doing bike trips, and because I don't have anyone I have to report to. Like really, I mean, we just have to, we have to be able to, pay the rent here and support people and grow a business.
Hey Andy, is it true that a DuVine trip won't stay anywhere or eat anywhere that you haven't done yourself? Is that true?
Yes, it's getting. I mean, to be in all honesty, like there's some places that maybe I haven't gone back to or been, but I've done everything. Because what happened way back when, in the good old days, we opened up a trip in Mendoza, Argentina, because I was dumb back then, and some company, I'm not going to mention the name, said we can operate a great trip for you, and someone wanted to go there, and we did it. I didn't go, and I didn't meet the guys, and it was a complete what show, and we had to like give back all the money. It was terrible, and I was like, why did I do this? For what? Like this isn't who we are, and so it failed. And that will fail every single time. It's not just because of me. If if it's not who we are and we don't have our people, you can't outsource. But let me tell you, and it works for other people, but most companies do that. Use local operators. We are like homegrown. Like DuVine we make our own bread.
So Andy, last question. You've been so generous with your time. What's inspiring you today? What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you consuming? What keeps your tank filled up with respect to all this stuff?
Well, do you know he's a little crazy? Do you know Jesse Itzler?
I don't.
Oh, so he's pretty cool. I hope he will maybe listen.
Fabulous.
Jesse Itzler is like unbelievable. He's created a ton of business. He's very active. He seems very real. He's always doing adventures. He's running a lot. He's taking saunas. He's riding his bike. He's getting people together. He's very honest. He's a speaker. I'd love to be a speaker. That's something I'd love to do. He's done a lot of cool things. He puts on a lot of great events. He's created a few big companies. He created like some coconut water company. He created Marquis Jet.
Wow.
He's like a kid. Like I see some stuff with him just being crazy in college and sleeping on floors and like just banging on doors and
Very
his
fun.
stuff evolved by him just showing up and being always being able wanting to talk to someone, and that's what I get inspired to do. That's what I mean. I'm so glad that you asked me, and I love speaking to people and connecting. And now we have a
Fantastic.
relationship, and I can learn from
Yep.
you, and I know that a lot of our guests are pretty impressive. Like yourself, you're not talking a lot. I'd love to ask you questions, and there's a lot of stories behind a lot of people on our trips, like amazing. And we know even
Fabulous.
also plus some people on our trip that like
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Well, yeah, and so many opportunities to learn. I was talking with Sarah Broughton. She said, this is the coolest thing. The people that are our customers, I learned like I get paid to sit there and learn from them.
Right.
It's fabulous. Just wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
Excellent. Well, and Andy, I'm going to conclude with this. That's another kind of key principle. I spouted off 3 earlier, and I think one of the 4th that really stands out to me that I'd love all the leaders listening to this to really get is your relationship between truth and growth and culture. You want to know the truth. You seek it out. You systematically and interpersonally. We weren't on the ground with you for 10 minutes before. You were connecting with every one of us and asking us about our experience and wanting to learn and, finding ways to make it better. So there is something there about embracing the truth and then finding out from others what their truth is about your product. It's fabulous. Really fabulous.
Well, thank you. I mean, listen, I think, who else is doing that? I want us to be different. And like, again, we can all choose where we want to work. I could sit in an office and look at my computer and look at spreadsheets. I think the greatest way to grow a business is to listen to your client, your guests, and get to know them and build the trust. So they can say, hey, I'd love you to, as far as go around, where you're living there, my friend Andy will hook you up and you can trust him. And here's his mobile number. Like, how easy is that?
Wow.
It's about relationships. My father says the term, and it's pretty funny, and who knows if it makes sense, is that people do business with people, right? I mean, I don't know.
No question. Yeah. Excellent.
So people do. So like I think creating trust is huge. Like I have my word. I read a book called The Diamond Cutter, and it was all about imprints in life. Like what type of imprints do you want to make? Do you want to make negative imprints or positive imprints? If you keep on making positive imprints, like that grows. If you make negative imprints, you will get negative returns. So if you're positive and you like give people your time and you're honest with them, you will get that in return. I just believe in that. Is that karma? What is that? I'm not sure, but what you put out is what you get back. 100% agree. If you put in the effort in being a cyclist, you will be able to go faster up the hill. If you put in the effort to like grow your business and be honest and take care of your guests and your people and whoever, I think you'll get that in return. There will be stuff that will happen. There will people that won't like you. You will get a flat tire. People will crash. Shit will happen. Excuse my language. But whatever. Like if the longer goal, like I want to be here. So that's what I look at.
Don't let Andy's cool and easygoing demeanor fool you for 1 second. Yes, while he employs a calm and measured leadership style, his unwavering attention to detail in the selection, training, and performance managing of his staff are world-class and worthy of our attention. You don't have to be overbearing, dismissive, nor coarse to exact incredibly high standards in performance. Andy shows us you need to be passionate, focused on your vision, and courageous enough to take action. By the way, as an unpaid testimonial, if you're considering a cycling trip to Europe, check out DuVine. My thanks to Andy Levine for sharing his time, his story, and himself with all of us. Until next time, leaders stepwise.
Thank you for listening to Stepwise. Stepwise is brought to you by Dr. Foster Mobley. Edited and promoted by Zetis. You can listen to more episodes wherever you stream podcasts. Find out more at fostermobleymt.com or follow us on social media at Foster Mobley. That's FOSTERMOBLEY. We look forward to having an inspiring conversation with you soon.